When most people think about drawing income from retirement accounts, they think in terms of an interest rate or a rate of return on their investments. Most will say something to the effect that they want to live off the interest and not touch the principal. They feel they're being safe with their money, and of course, they want to stretch out the use of their money to make the money last as long as they do. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with these statements or with this line of thinking. However, another way of thinking about the topic that can be very helpful is to think in terms of withdrawal rate instead of interest rate. There's an important difference between the two concepts. If we talk and think in terms of withdrawal rate, we then put ourselves on a more sound financial footing. You see, in retirement, we need our income to grow over time to help keep up with inflation. If we invest our money in a well-balanced way, it's possible to grow the principal at a rate to keep up with inflation over time. For example, when we advise our clients about retirement income, we generally recommend that they should plan to withdraw no more than 5% of principal in any given year. If they can get by on this 5% amount, or perhaps even less than 5%, we have a reasonable degree of confidence that they can spend in this way for a very long time. Our goal in setting up the withdrawal rate in this fashion is to preserve their purchasing power during their lifetime and preserve their lifetime savings for passing on to their heirs or making gifts to charity or whatever they choose. In other words, by preserving their principal and limiting their spending, they're not likely to run out of money, no matter how long they live. At the end of their lifetimes, they will still have an estate that can provide them an opportunity to make an important impact on the lives of their children or grandchildren, or perhaps organizations that support causes they feel strongly about. Let's take a look at some examples of how we might use this 5% withdrawal rate concept in a long-range retirement income planning. When someone asks me, how much should I save to be prepared for retirement, we can calculate a simple estimate using the 5% withdrawal rate concept. For example, for every $10,000 of annual retirement income needed, you need about $200,000 in retirement savings to support that $10,000 of annual income. So if you have a lifestyle that requires, say, $50,000 of annual income, you'll need to accumulate around $1 million in retirement savings to support that income level. This $1 million target does not take into consideration other sources of income, such as Social Security or retirement pensions. Now let's look at a different way to use this 5% withdrawal rate concept. Recently, I had a conversation with a couple who were referred to me for help. After listening to their story, it was clear they had a problem with chronic overspending that seemed to be putting their long-term future at risk. They had about $1.5 million in retirement savings, which might sound like a substantial amount, but they're spending at an annual rate of about $250,000 a year. Well, at $250,000 a year, that's the equivalent to almost a 17% spending rate. Now, in today's investment environment, there's just not any safe investments that can provide a 17% return. If they continue to spend at that rate, they could run out of money in just a few years. On the other hand, if they rein in spending to 5% of principal or less, they increase the chances they can make their money last as long as they do. You might be thinking, how realistic is it we could have investments that would support a 5% spending rate adjusted for inflation and then end up with a preservation of most or maybe all of the original principal? The answer is that it's fairly realistic. In fact, most charitable funds, university endowments, hospital endowments, and similar institutions have their money invested and make grants or other spending from endowment funds at a rate of about 5% per year. Now remember, these institutions that expect to last long into the future, maybe even forever, with a well-managed investment portfolio and a 5% cap on spending, they're in a good position to achieve those long-term goals. Now, as human beings, we won't last forever, but in retirement, we are at risk that we might just live a long time. We have to manage our financial affairs to stretch our money out to last as long as we do. And one way we can do that is to plan to spend no more than 5% of whatever we have each year. This is the 5% withdrawal rate concept. Remember to think in terms of withdrawal rate, not just interest rate or rate of return. This will keep you on a more solid footing as you plan your retirement years. And we'll have more for you in another installment of the Financial Briefing.